Hello, friends. Hope all of you are enjoying my classes of the inflation. So, we have been clarified from the day one what is the inflation. We have clarified how to measure the inflation. We have discussed about some of the factors also, exchange rate, what is the relation in between the inflation. My today's topic is employment rate and the wages. How these two factors affect the inflation. So, my content is very much clear. First, we will discuss about these two factor. What is these two factors? Then we will try to find out a correlation in between these two factors and the inflation. How these two factors are going to affect the inflations. And the third, we will formulate some strategies to combat the inflations when the inflation happens for this, particularly for these two factors. So I hope all of you will enjoy this video, and if you like my content, share to all of your friends, and it will be very much motivational for me. So let us start the employment rate and the wages and the relation correlation in between these two factors to the inflation. Friends, now let us come to the two factors, employment rate and the wages. So what is the employment rate of a particular society? In society, there are two different populations. One population is the employed populations and another populations, that is the work age populations. Now what is the work age populations? Work age populations is the populations coming within the bracket of the age references where we are assuming that all people are doing work, earning the money for their society and contributing something to the societies. So work age population is the base, and the employed populations are the populations who are employed within the society. So employment rate is the ratio to the employed population to work age populations. So the ratio in between the employed population and the work age population is called the employment ratio. Now I am coming to the wages. Wages is very simple thing. Whatever we are earning into our society, that is the wages. Now the wages can be daily wages, hourly wages, weekly wages, monthly wages, or yearly wages. Suppose that personally, let us take one example. I am doing work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 52 weeks a year. So, what is the total working hours I am contributing to the society? If you calculate this, it is coming 2080 hours. Suppose that my annual income is 40,000 USD. So, if I divide this 40,000 USD by 2080, then the hourly wages are coming. So like this hourly wages, we can calculate the weekly wages. So whatever is the basis, we can calculate. So friends, now these two factor, the employment rate and the wages, is very clear to you. I hope it's clear to you. So now let us go to the next thing, that is the to identify the correlation in between these two factors and the inflation. Friends, let us see now how these two factors, the employment rate and the wages, affect the inflation. What is the correlation between the employment rate and wages and the inflation? The definition is clear for both of the employment rate and wages. So let us find out the correlations. Suppose in a society, if the employment rate is very high and the wages structure is also very healthy, then what will happen? We can consider that the society is going through a very healthy phase. Everyone has money and the people has a very good expenditure capability. So the if the capability of the expenditure of the consumer is high, then they will obviously expend more monies to the into the societies. So obviously there will come situations when the prices of the goods will be gradually increasing. So we can conclude that if the employment rate is at higher side, then the inflation is also likely to increase. If the wages are also into the higher side, the inflation is also likely to increase. So both of these factors are directly proportional to the inflation. I hope that the correlation in between these two factors and the inflation is very much clear to all of you. So now let us see, if the inflation happens for these two factors, then what strategy we have to take to control that inflation. That is a very vital. So now let us go for discussing that. Friends, in this video, I have formulated majorly three strategies. Very simple strategy. If the inflation happens for the reason of employment rate and wages, this is very clear that we cannot cut down the employment rate and wages. This is against the law. For getting a healthy society, always these two factors are needed. So these two factors are the good factors for the society. So we cannot cut down this to reduce the inflation. So what are the strategies? The strategies are very clear. I have identified three strategies here. You can see into here also. The first is the production, the second one is the competition, and the third one is the contractionary monetary policy. So let us come to the first factor. Let us come to the first strategy. What is that? Is the production. Suppose what happens if the employment rate is very good and the wages is also very good. That means the expenditure capability is very good. So now the thing is that demand is increasing. So what to do? We have to improve our supply ability. The same thing coming. That means for the increased demand, we have to meet that demand by improving our supply ability. For that reason, we have to increase the production capacity. But now the thing is the production capacity only right strategy to combat this inflation? No, that is not the right strategy. Suppose the production capacity is increased and there is a very lesser competitions. That means the capacity is concentrated to some few players. So there comes a monopolistic attitude into the society. So the price regulations of the products will not be managed. So we have to destroy this monopolistic system of the society. So we have to create a good number of competitors so that all of the competitors always competes with each other to give the best offering to the consumer into our society, and thus the price can of the products can be regulated. I hope that these two strategies are very much clear to all of you. Now I am coming to the third strategy. This is a very broader strategy, but I will briefly tell you what is this. Contractionary monetary policy. Suppose when in a society the expenditure power of the consumer is gradually increasing, so we have to reduce the expenditure power. For that reason, government takes some policy. When the expenditure power is more, the money circulation within the society is also more. Now our main motto is how to reduce the money supply within the economy or within the society. So for that reasons, government plays some good things. Suppose that if the government if the government increases the rate of interest on the bond, then what will happen? People will restrict their day-to-day expenditure and gradually invest into the bond. So at one point of point, they are reducing their expenditure on the consumables, and they are investing their expenditure onto the government bonds, where the funds are generally going into the cover of the government. When the additional funds are gradually be accumulated into the cover of the government, then he can distribute as per the requirement of the society. And in this way, we can reduce the expenditure. Another thing, suppose government can increase some of the indirect taxes onto the product. If they increase the taxes, automatically, suppose that some of the luxury items are there, government can impose some of the increase some of the indirect taxes on those luxury items to discourage the expenditure. So in this way, the expenditure also can be reduced. So contractionary monetary policy is a very broader term. There are a lot of things to discuss. I will discuss into my next videos definitely. But this is the basic ideas that I am giving, that these three strategies are the key to control the inflation when the inflation happens for due to the good employment rate and the good salary and wages structure. I hope I have been able to make all of you understand about the definition of the employment rate and the wages, as well as the relations in between them, inflation and these two factors, and also the strategies are very clear. And I hope it will be helpful for all of you into your future business activities to formulate the strategies. If you face any situations for this, then how to combat the situations, the clear ideas you can hold. So friends, if you like my contents, if you like my video, please share my contents to all of your friends so that they can also get benefited. So that's all.